Good morning, good morning, good morning, dear friends. Good morning, ụmụ Chineke. Ekele m unu. Asị m nke ọ bụla onye chiri ya eze m. Olee otu unu mere? Unu abụọla chi? Taa bụ ụbọchị ọṅụ. Asị ọ bụrụ chi kelee Olisa. Onye ọbụla fụrụ ụbọchị taa kwesịrị ikele Chineke nna maka ọ dịghị izi. Bikos enwere ndị labaranụ ha tetaghị. Enwere ndị labaranụ ha tetaghị n'ụra. So onye ọbụla a labara n'ụtụtụ teta n'ụra, o kwesịrị ikele Chineke maka na ọ dịghị izi. Bikos ọ bụghị n'ike gị, ọ bụghị na ị ka mara ihe, bụdọ site n'ebe ebere Chukwu. Ọ ya mere ka anyị dị ndụ na ala ndị dị ndụ. Ọ ya mere mgbe ọbụla anyị pụtara anyị ga-ekele ya, sọpụrụ ya, bikos of iche isi niile bụ nke ya, nkwanye ugwu bụ nke ya, bikos ọ ya nwawo ekekere ụwa, bikos ọ ya nwawo ugwu anyị na-arị ata egwu. So ya mere na mata ya n'eti ihe ọbụla anyị mega, anyị ga-ekele ya, si ya na o meela, onye mere ka anyị dị ndụ na ala ndị dị ndụ. And anyị si na ebe anyị na-adị ndụ, anyị ga-ejere ya ozi. Ebe anyị na-adị ndụ, anyị ga-ejere ya ozi. Ọ bụ our promise. Enwere mgbe anyị dị nta ka anyị na-agụ egwu, ebe m na-adị ndụ, onye nwe m aga m ejere gị ozi. Onye nwe m aga m anụrụ gị ọnụ. Ebe m na-adị ndụ, onye nwe m aga m ejere gị ozi. Onye nwe m aga m anụrụ gị ọnụ. Onye nwe m. So ka anyị na-ekwu ya, ka anyị na-eme ya ka ọ na-abịa na mmezu. Ebe anyị na-adị ndụ, anyị ga-ejere ya ozi, n'ọnụ ya ọnụ. O nwekwara egwu ọzọkwa agụkwara. Were onyinye amara Chukwu nyere gị n'ọrụ ya ọnụ. Were onyinye amara Chukwu nyere gị n'ọrụ ya ọnụ. Were ya n'ọrụ ya ọnụ. Were ya n'ọrụ ya ọnụ. Were onyinye amara Chukwu nyere gị n'ọrụ ya ọnụ. Egwu a na-agụ agụ dị too much. Egwu a na-agụ agụ dị too much. So ya ka anyị na-arịọ Chukwu. Ọ bọrọ chi kelee Olisa. Onye bọrọ chi kelee Olisa. Ọ bọrọ chi kelee Olisa. Onye bọrọ chi kelee Olisa. Ka anyị kpee n'ekpere ka anyị si na-ekpe. This our sister na-ekpere anyị ekpere every morning. Nne, duru anyị gawa. Duru anyị gawa. Duru anyị gawa.
And I'll continue from there. Anyone can lead us in prayer. Thank you. Let me make sure somebody can unmute themselves. Sorry. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Go ahead. Adandimbo.
Eze bi n'eluigwe ọgọrọ a na-akpụ n'ala. Chukwu okike ya kpọgo.
Eze eluigwe.
Eze bi n'eluigwe, ụmụ gị agbakọnata.
I swear.
Nna m anyị na-eme ibe isi anyị na-eme ya ka anyị nọ na-eme. Onweghị ihe ọzọ anyị bụ n'obi ahụ njem nwere onwe. Ya ka anyị na-eji ijie. Anyị wee na-asị gị ezi Chineke, biko bịa ka ị nọnyere anyị. Chọọrọ anyị ka a lawa ajọ mmadụ ahụ, kachasị ndị sabọ, ndị si na Biafra ya abịa. Ndị na-anụ ọgụ niile ebe a na-anụ ka ha wee fụdatị na Biafra ya abịa. Si Chukwu biko, ọgụ ahụ nwa ya anụla anyị ya. Gọzie anyị Chineke, gọzie ụmụ Ife, gọzie ụmụ Biafra niile ebe ọnwụ na anyị niile anọ. Ezi Chineke, ma ana m akpọkwa gị n'isi awa dịda Maazị Nnamdi Kanụ Ọhamadike. Nọnyere m ihe, gbaala m ya ume, were dọkịta na-agwọ ya ọya Chineke biko ọkwago ka ịmụ nwa onye ọzọ. Otu aka ga na-akpakwa n'isi agbata obi udu akọ mmiri na mbiko ihe niile ugokọ dị n'aka anyị eme nke anyị ji nwụrụ mmadụ ma agụ nwa ya eme nke iji wu Chukwu na m ana m asị aka ọwụna ụdọ ọwụna ezumezu ọwụna osi n'elu osi n'ala ọwụ ikwe ọwụ ibe ọwụ onye ọzọkwa anya wụrụ ndị ji ọbata obi eji awa dịda maazị Nnamdị ka na asị m aka ha gbajie asị tinyere ha ọgbaghara ebe ọ na ba na tinyere ha ọgbaghara tinye n'etiti ya Chineke pịaba m ụtarị mee ka ọkụ gbuo ha na-arụ mee ka ezumezu ha niile ha saa kpọpụtara ya awa dịda maazị Nnamdị ka nọ ọbata obi ya na m otu a ka si welekwa awa COS wee tinye gị n'aka nna m onye emekwe nke o ji wụrụ mmadụ n'ọkwago Chukwu na-eme mma onye na-enye ike ajọ mmụọ ajọ mmadụ uke mmụọ uke mmadụ ebe ọsọkwa anya si onye ọsọkwa anya wụrụ ọsọkwa wụrụ mụnwa na-eche echiche ọjọọ megide ihe asụ Chineke megide onye ọbụla na-emegide COS ayo ise ọ bụrụ mụnwa na-emegide ya emegide m ise onye ọsọkwa ya wụrụ ebe ọsọkwaba na-agba ije ọ na-agba ya n'elu ọ na-agba ya n'ala ọ na-agba ya n'okpuru ala ọ na-agba ya asụ Chukwu asụ megidewe ekwere ka ba binye ekwere ka nna m binye ọbịa onye ọsọ enekwena anya n'ihu emekọ na-ebele alịrị aka wee ruo mgbe niile ebighị
maybe you go ya go megide I like it megide all right, thank you so much. Welcome, dear friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Chudubem, ụtụtụ ọma, Chudubem, ụtụtụ ọma. Olee otu ị mere? Chudubem, ezigbo nwa afọ Biafra, onye ihe nwụrụ nwaanyị na-agụ agụrụ. Ana m asị m Chukwu agụ ume, duo gị ebe ọ bụla ị nọ.
Ka anyị nọzi n'elu ihe na mbụ na mbụgodo ihe chọrọ ime ka Ngozi Ọrabeze mata ya bụ eziokwu ọgbata obi atụkwara nga terọrizm igwe na-adị ada
mba nwaanyị dị
ọgbata obi Simon Ekpa Finland tụrụ ya nga 6 years for terrorism igwe na-adị ya
okay for the thing apụtago
mba ihe na-ekwu ka nna eme na life
Triple M birikwo
because enwere ihe some people enwe ha idea ha just na-agba Finland tụrụ ya nga 6 years for terrorism.
Anyị amaghị.
Ngozi Ọrabeze bụ chief of staff Simon Ekpa bụ the chief of terrorism. So Ngozi Ọrabeze nwere question to answer.
Imagine.
Because ọma ihe mere ọbatobi eji were eme terrorism o so were support ọbatobi na terrorism o mere so ọ bụrụ mụ abụ lawyer Ngozi Orabeze nwere question to answer.
Yes.
Because mgbe niile ahụ Simon Ekpa terrorize ebe niile ahụ ọ na-eme terrorism ahụ Ngozi Orabeze so ya ihe o mere
and onye nwa Ngozi Orabeze na-negotiate ihe that place maka chief of staff.
Chief of staff to Simon Ekpa who the terrorist atụrụ nga 6 years.
Oh, Chimo.
Then Chukwu Nkere alias Isaiah Anyọkụ who the finance minister na-eweta ego Simon Ekpa ji terrorize ndị ọrụ terrorize. So which means I been a terrorism case. One person and her carry terrorism here like that. One person name in no begin to change and begin with a brave one a street, but we show the mother. I had to plan terrorist city to a very pen a court. What is evidence from everywhere? The chief of staff will result in all.
Oh my.
Yes.
So the court consider me invite.
Oh, consider me invite. Sure.
I'm going to invite a phone number. I have for communication. Young one over to be at the plan. I saw the terrorists over to be at them. What results also not over to be a one only make terrorists.
Triple M in Amoqua.
Okay, we are Chico, Simon Ejiheko. Okay, we are able to take a very terrorist.
Okay, when that was oge kere na-ebe oge kere eshi nweta ego ka oge kere ogburu aja ozu ka iweta ego ji eme ihe ka onye nye gị oge kere dị ego ebe oge kere eshi eweta gị dị ego ụmụnne m ebe oge kere eshi eweta gị ego o ji enye gị onye gị ihe a ebe oge kere eshi eweta gị ya.
So before ya just send the ego ahụ eji emeta terrorism Simon eji emeta terrorism na o nwere nkata nya na Simon kpara before ya na-ese ndị Simon ego ji emeta terrorism enwe mgbe o ji abụsọsọ na Simon plan ihe niile. So ha na-emekwa ihe ha na-eme
we are here watching them.
Ha marakwa na if that is what goes around comes around.
Sure.
Ha na-efiri na Simon Ekpa a ga-emekwa ha change arrest one by one. They have questions to answer. Because that is how it works.
I don't know.
Onwe mgbe mmadụ ga-abụ anọ n'okwu ọfịs na-arụ ọrụ enwe ụdị kesi dị enwe something dị etu a ga-ajụrụ onye ọbụla ajụjụ. Ọ bụrụ na emechaa n'ikpeazụ release egbe a ga-ajụ onye ọbụla ajụjụ.
Okwu dị ya.
Ka ihe ma gbasara this particular thing. Ka ihe ma gbasara ya ka ejide ya phone gaa through ya phone.
Also okwu dị ya that means the
communication you nwere with that person. Mara say when another people unu na plan kwa so we is. Ka karịkwa on that terrorism ha check the Simon. So ha na-enwekwa ihe ha na-eme. We are here watching them. Ndụmọdụ ihe ọzọ nwere ikwu gbasara Ngozi Orabeze ọsa ebe illiterate ọ bịara ịbịa ya educate.
Confirm illiterate ihe iwu confirm illiterate ihe iwu ị need gị ịdọwachi isi gị ihe akpọrọ gị ihe iwu confirm illiterate ihe iwu ndị otu m si ewepụ this nonsense. Okay, wait 1 minute. Ụmụnne m Kochus birikwe Kochus 042 birikwe no datin o teele nwaanyị ga-asị na m chefuo onye na-akpọ distin
Maazị Humble.
Ọ ga-asị na m chefuo.
Good evening from here.
Good evening, ma. Otu ime
nwetara m obere chance ka m gwazie ihe gbasara Chikodịrị. Ọ na-aza Adadọra mma ka ndị ọ dịrị ọra mma ihe ọ na-eme.
Unu anụ afọ ya?
Ihe ọ na-akọsasị ihe niile a na-eme ka o jidere ọra mma onye bịara Adadọra mma
o ji aka ya na
ezigbo aha ya o Chikodịrị.
Unu anụ ya?
Ka a hapụgoro aha nna ya maka sekuriti. Chikodịrị wee aha ya onye isi ọfịa n'Ọzara village. Ihe a mụrụ ha ofu oge nwaanyị anọ nyawawu nke obere n'afọ nne na nne ya.
Adadọra m onye isi ọfịa.
Chikodịrị karata ya ajọka
Bad character.
From the beginning. From the beginning. Nwere aja awa.
Up to now.
Onye ahụ nọ n'ahụ ebe ahụ mụrụ ụmụ abụọ na be anyị ebe a.
Olee otu o si nweta dị nwa?
Nke diọkpara ya Ogechukwu, ada ya nwaanyị bụ Amarachi. Ọ mụrụ ha ebe a wee gbapụ ọsọ gaba ala bekee ahụ ọ gara. Gaa ebe a mụwazie ihe niile ahụ ọ mụrụ ebe ahụ. Onweghị nwanne ya ya na ya dị na mma. Onweghị nwanne ya ya na ya dị na mma. Onye na-afụ na achị ka keneri na social media. Agbaghị ebe o si pụta ihe eti mkpu. Ezighị ebe o si pụta ihe eti mkpu. Anụ ọhịa na-anataghị mgbe mma ya nwụrụ. Ọ bịara ebe ahụ eti mkpu. As I talking to you now, di ya onye nọrọ ya nọbụ ala bekee ebe ahụ. O megidere ihe a na-eme ụmụ nwaanyị na-eme di ha na obodo oyibo. Oge hapụrụ ya obodo gbanatazie na Naịjirịa, nọzie na Naịjirịa. Onye Igbo ukwu nụrụ ya nọ jụma ya nụọ nwaanyị lụọ ụlọ ebe ahụ ma birizie. That man nkịta wetere ndị be ha akwụkwọ, gbara nwanne ya nwoke akwụkwọ, ya bịa nyekwa ya ego ọ kwụrụ n'isi Chikọdị Adadịọra mma. Na-akpụgharị nwanne ya nwoke ya nyekwa ya ego ọ kwụrụ n'isi Adadịọra mma, na ọ naghị anụzi n'ọnụ na nwaanyị. Otu ihe ọ na-ezuzugharị na soshal midia. Otu ihe ọ na-apụta kịta na-eme ihe obi erukweghị ya na because case na-aga on n'isi ya kịta na Igbo ukwu n'isi ya. So ego ka e mere n'isi ya gbagha nkwụ ya onye anyị fụrụ na akọtọsi ihe ahụ ọ na-akọ ebe ahụ.
Nne Chiremekele eze birikwo eze na ya adị eze asị m na enweghị ihe eme gị si ka mụ ka ihe ya eme gị ya o mere m Chikaọdịrị ndewo nne m Editi n'ụtụtụ ọma. Biko tupu eneghị ụmụ nwaanyị na-eme di ha n'obodo oyibo. Biko asị enwere ihe a na-agwa nwaanyị sọ gwa na di ya. Chidube m ịma ihe ọwụ ụmụ nwaanyị na-eme di ha n'obodo oyibo. Biko nunu gwa nunu Odiva ụtụtụ ọma enweghị ụmụ nwaanyị na-eme di ha n'obodo oyibo because my woman omeghe ekwe m ya ọ na m shiri ike ka ọgịnịzi nwaanyị m ji omeghe m ya na-eme ụmụ nwoke n'obodo oyibo.
So nwanne nwoke si mba na ọ na-asị ya nyekwa ya ego na mgbe ọ gwara ya ndụ nwanne ya nwaanyị ọkwa o were ya jekọrọ nwanne ya, nọ ya mere ya na nwanne ya nwaanyị adịghị na maruo taa. Ya na ụmụnne nwe nke ya na ya na-asịkọ sọnsọ ofu nwanne ya kịta ya na ya kwụ nke di ya nwụgoro di nke ahụ ha kpọrọ nke ahụ kpọrọ Ogechukwu nwa ya Lagos ka ha nọ kpọpịa Lagos because Ogechukwu nwa ya kịta nọ 39 years ọkwa nọ 40 years. Then mgbe ahụ a na-eme ihe gbasara ihe IPOB mgbe ahụ Ogechukwu nọ n'Isu Ọfịa. Mgbe ọ na-ehọrọ ya ọhụrụ ka ọ gaa semina ndị IPOB. Mgbe ọ na-efuru ya semina ndị IPOB nne ya na-ebute ego na-ebu ya ozukọtacha ego eji ya enye ya na ihe ọ na-akpọ ọnụ nke ezinụlọ o buru bịa Ogechukwu nke ahụ erichapụ. Then nwa ya wụ Ogechukwu nwe mgbe ọ kpọpụrụ ya Abidjan. Emechaa omesi ọkpọ ebe ahụ achọnatakwa ya n'obodo ya nọkwa n'obodo na-ezuzugharị because nwanne ya nwoke anụnwa nọ pọt ka ọ nọ. Nwanne ya nwoke a kpọrọ ya ihe niile ekwe ojekwa pọt ebe a zuzugekwa achọnatakwa ya na vileji n'Isu Ọfịa. Sọnsọ ihe Adadịọra njọ na-eme bụ sọnsọ ka eme ka data
Ogechukwu ụzọ na-ezuzu mme ya na-ezuzu deenụ ya geenụ ntị ọ na-ezuzu
Adadịọra njọ na-eme bụ sọnsọ ka ihe ọ ga ka data Diọkpara ya ka nwanne ya
ọ dị possible
nne ya mụrụ Chineke abụrụ ha ụmụazị emechaa ya magoro otu o si asa n'ọnụ kịta awa otu nwa ya nwoke Ogechukwu si awụwa
like a mother like a son.
So mbọ niile ọ na-agba mgbe ahụ gbasara ndị men on ground ka ọ fa ego Ogechukwu ebe ahụ ihe o ji na-agba mbọ niile ahụ ọ na-agba mbọ ahụ ka a mara ka anyị nye onye isi ka o tinye Ogechukwu nwa ya ego maka ọ na ịhụrụ Ogechukwu ahụ ọsọ na ọ na-aga semina ihe gbasara IPOB etu ugbu a ihe abịa na obodo adịgo tait ya akpọpịa Lagos kwụọrọ ya ụgwọ ụlọ kpọrọ nwanne ya nwaanyị ahụ di ya nwụrụ ụmụ ya dị 2 kpọje ha Lagos nye ha na Ogechukwu o bidoro Ogechukwu ahịa Ogechukwu ahụ lichaa ego na-amasị kọndọktọ kịta den nke wa ada ya nwaanyị anụgo di mgbe a na-achọ ịgba nkwụ ya asị na-agba ha nkwụ nne ya na ya ebuzo gbaa nkwụ nne ya ndị obodo jụ na ya ebuzo gbaa nkwụ nne ya ada dị ọra mma tupu agba nke nwa ya nwaanyị ọ mụrụ n'ụlọ wee pụọ so the thing sewe okwu mgbe ahụ o megide di ya si ngwa ka ọ gbara ụmụ nwoke nke ya asị ya mba na nwoke na anaghị agba nkwụ ugboro abụọ n'ihe mere ya bụ na ada dị ọra mma ya ada nne ya ka ọ chie ọjị ozi na ya agba nkwụ ahụ na-ego agba ya ada dị ọra masị na ọ ya ahịa ada nne ya ya na ada nne ya adịghị na mma onweghị nwanne ya na ya dị na mma onye iberibe ahụ na-awụ ụwa ọnụ ebe a sị ọ na-achọtara ụmụ aja na Biafra ekwensu ka ọ bụ ekwensu dị ihe ahụ so agba ha ngwa ya ruo taa etu ọ bịazi yọọ ndị ụmụnna mba ada dị ọra mma saa na emechaa na sị gbaa nkwụ ada ya nwaanyị na emechaa na ya agba nkwụ ndị ụmụnna wee kwere ekute dibịa mmiri fuo nkwụ ya gị agbachazie nkwa maka
ọrụ n'ụmụnna gị anyị ịfụrụ dị gị anyị ọrụ n'ụmụnna ịrụrụ ofu m otochiri them Ahampton ụtụtụ ọma ndewo Ahampton ụtụtụ ọma ọwa afa gị ka m kpọrọ datin ọwa afa gị this woman rụrụ ụmụnna gị anyị ọ rụrụ ụmụnna gị anyị unu furu ihe o mere ọ rụrụ ụmụnna gị anyị ọ rụrụ ụmụnna gị anyị ọ rụrụ ụmụnna gị anyị ụmụnna ekwe na
ọ chọrọ ime ego gbaa nkwụ kpọrọ nwunye ya so ọyọcha ụmụnna kwere agbazie nkwụ ada ya nwaanyị agba ha nkwụ ya ruo taa ugbu a kịta DS nọ na-anụzi ada dị ọra mma na-akụ di ya ihe n'obodo oyibo na-atụsị di ya ihe n'ilo ada dị ọra mma na-akụ di ya ihe n'obodo oyibo ugbu a kịta DS nọ na-anụzi ada dị ọra mma na-akụ di ya ihe n'obodo oyibo na-atụsị di ya ihe n'ilo omekọta nwoke ihe nwoke wee hapụrụ ya obodo gbana nọ ize na Naịjirịa
Justin ndewo
so na ọ mụrụ ụmụ ise ebe ahụ duto ihe mekwa na o ji si n'obodo wee gbafuo na ọ na-ezuzu ọ na-ezuzugharị kịta ka o si otu a ka esi eyuzu ya mana n'ọhịa mana mbụbọ be anyị na-akpọ ya mbụbọ ebe a na-akọ ihe ebe ndị sekuriti jidere ya ebe ụmụ nwoke nọ ya na ụmụ nwoke nọ na-ezuzugharị wee kee ya agbụ na họrọ ndị be anyị
Chidube meno ihe omi na ebe ya na ụmụ nwoke na-ezuzugharị eneghị dị nzuzu dị ihe ha na ụmụ nwoke na-ezuzugharị ihe anyị nwere ike ikwuwa Piman ndewo ọ sị ebe ya na ụmụ nwoke na-ezuzugharị eneghị dị ihe ha na-ezuzu ihe ha biko nwere ike ịgwa m nzuzu ya ịma nzuzu dị n'ụdị n'ụdị a sị chere wet ebe ya na ụmụ nwoke na-ezuzugharị
na họrọ ndị be anyị wee pịachacha ya ịtarị pịawasịcha ya
ọkwa ada ndị mbụ na ndị ogede ka a pịara ihe na
họrọ ndị be anyị ebe a na-akọ ihe ebe ndị sekuriti jidere ya ebe ahụ duto ihe mekwa na o ji si n'obodo wee gbafuo na nzuzu ọ na-ezuzugharị kịta ka o si otu a ka esi eyuzu ya mana n'ọhịa mana mbụbọ be anyị na-akpọ ya mbụbọ ebe ndị sekuriti jidere ya ebe ụmụ nwoke nọ ya na ụmụ nwoke nọ na-ezuzugharị wee kee ya agbụ na họlụ ndị be anyị wee pịachacha ya ịtarị pịawasịcha ya ahụ so otu a ka o si wee hapụzie vileji ọ na-eme up too much wee hapụzie vileji wee gbafuo ihe ahụzi ụnụ anụzie nọ na Sudan from Sudan ebe a ka o si mụrụ nwa wee mgbe ejidere ka edipọtụọ ya and di ya nwa na-anụ ya nke Igbo ukwu anụnwakwa na-arụ n'ebe ahụ ndị a ebe deportation office ahụ wee sụọ Igbo the man wee mkpokọta si ọwụ onye Igbo si ọwụ onye Nigeria si ọwụ onye Igbo si n'ọwụ onye Anambra wee sọrọ the man Igbo the man wee sọkwara ya gbozie ndị ebe ha na-achị isi wee deport ya n'ihe a nwanne ya nwaanyị kpuchi ụmụ
the man eburuzie ga na-eyo the man eburuzie ga na-eyo the mgbe a na-emegide ya ọhụzie backside of ya ọhụ bad side of the man and the woman gbamagazie
about ụmụ abụọ ka atọ ọchị the man kpọrọzie ya na the man megịnị n'ọbazie the man kọwara ya mụọrị ụmụ abụọ mezuru ya 5 ahụ so bidozie ma treatwe the man nwoke hapụrụ ya ụlọ gbafuo nọzie na Nigeria kịta weti nwunye ọ nụziri so mgbe Adadị Ọma hụziri na the man anụọ na nwaanyị gbaa nwụ o sendikwara ya pictures Adadị Ọma picture Adadị Ọma wee tizie divorce paper because ọ sị na tax ndị ọcha na-enye ya dị too much na na-enye ya tax as onye ịmaga onye ya na nwoke ka bi otizie divorce paper ahụ gwa ha na anọ single mother mgbe ekpechara ihe niile so asị the man nọ na ọ gaghị akpọ nwa ya ọhụrụ abịa ọ ga-enwe access to those children like imere ha ihe but enweghị nke ọ ga-akpọrọ ihe a mere nwoke ji wee wee iwe nazie Nigeria jezie nọzie permanent na Nigeria so mgbe dị mafụ na Adadị Ọma tiri divorce ahụ wee wezie ihe a leta wejere ndị be ha si anọ gịnị na ọnụchana Adadị Ọma wee si na ihe ọma na divorce paper o tiri ụlọ ka tax a na-enye wee dị ha na nso n'ọnọta na Nigeria na ha ka ya anụ akwa di ya na ha ga-anụ di na nwunye afọ isi ya ihe ọ na-agbapụtagharị na social media na everyday 1 hour 2 hours ọ na-ebe ọ ebe o ji akasi onwe ya obi ọ na-anwụkwa ahụ ọ na-efu efu ebe efuru ya ịnụ elu okwu ya aka a na-elu ya and onye ha na-be ha nwanne nwoke ekwe ya bata ọ gaghị na Igbo ukwu ndị Igbo ukwu ajụ na ya ha sịkwa na ha achọghọzi unless even ọ gwara ụmụnne na ọnwụnwụ si na ya esi nye na Sudan na onweghị ọsụna Sudan ka ọsụna France ebe ọ nọ ọnwụnwụ si na ihe na France na onweghị ihe ọ na-anata na onwe onye o nwere ebe ọ na ha hapụrụ ya mgbe ndị sekuriti na-akụ ya ihe onwe zọrọ ya nọ n'ọhụ na onweghị mmadụ ihu ebe onye asịpụta imeri ya ebere ọ na-afụri ọnụ n'ebe ahụ osi isu ọfịa ama mbe ha ama ma ụmụnne niile ama m onye ọwa ọfụma isi ọfịa ka o si so hapụ ihe ọ na-akọ ka nkwudobe otu a ọ ka na-ezuzu na ma na-ewepụtasị ya one by one
Emmanuel ndewo nne m thank you Emmanuel iwe onye isi ọfịa Emmanuel ndewo ọ gbapụla ọwụkwa mụ a wepụrụ gị bịaghachi nwoke isi ọfịa bịaghachi ọwụkwa mụ a wepụrụ go nna ya kwa first time m use this stream yard the thing na-agba ma ji amụ ka free ka m use go here Emmanuel bịaghachi ọwụkwa mụ a wepụrụ go nne Ezinne Judy Ezinne Junior na ndewo ụtụtụ ọma. Na ihe ka agbaga maji amụ. Ewo. Ihe ka agbaga maji amụ. Wata. Iti na-apụcha. Steeti iwepụ ka ahụ na ọ ga-ekwezi apụ. Nwoke isi ọfịa chere ka m bịa mee accept. Anọ m ebe m chọrọ iwere something.
The United States Embassy in Abuja has officially assigned an American officer to follow all documents.
Adịghị ya akpọ ịdị ihe ka m pịga n'ahịa ka. Chimo. God, Chidibe mafuzi m gị again.
Submitted by Barrister Aloy Ejimakor regarding Nnamdi Kanu's case. The move came after a former DSS detainee, Atiku Issa, who shared a cell with Nnamdi Kanu, granted an interview saying Nnamdi Kanu is peaceful, courageous, respected by all detainees, and genuinely wants Nigeria's progress. Barrister Aloy Ejimakor immediately forwarded Atiku Issa's public testimony to the U.S. Embassy as supporting evidence. The U.S. Embassy requested strictly court-issued documents, not news articles, prompting Barrister Aloy Ejimakor to send 3 major legal documents proving past court rulings in Nnamdi Kanu's favor. These include a court ruling declaring Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and detention illegal, 2022. A High Court ruling, 2023, that self-determination is not a crime in Nigeria. A ruling ordering the federal government to compensate and apologize to Nnamdi Kanu for the 2017 massacre of his family and 2021 extraordinary rendition. After sending these documents, Nigerian media released multiple counter-reports suggesting the government is reacting to U.S. involvement. IPOB simultaneously wrote petitions to the US, UK, EU, UN, and 19 foreign missions, demanding global intervention for Nnamdi Kanu's unconditional release. Nnamdi Kanu has personally filed a motion at the Court of Appeal asking it to halt or stay the planned 20th November judgment, arguing the trial's foundation is unconstitutional. If the appeal court grants the stay, the Federal High Court's judgment may be postponed. If it ignores it, Nnamdi Kanu's team may later argue the judgment is invalid. As of the latest update, the appeal court has received Nnamdi Kanu's filing but made no statement yet, leaving intense anticipation in the days leading to November 20th. When I first heard that the Embassy of the United States of America, under the administration of President Donald John Trump, had officially assigned an American officer to monitor the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I felt as if a long-closed window had finally opened a small crack. For decades, the Nigerian government has treated issues surrounding the Igbo Biafran people with disturbing arrogance, hostility, and denial. So when the lawyer of Nnamdi Kanu, Barrister Aloy Ejimakor, submitted a new set of official court documents to the United States Embassy in Abuja, The reaction within Nigerian political circles was almost immediate. It was the kind of panic only a guilty conscience produces. What triggered the renewed interest of the United States was not only the legal documents, but also the testimony of a man named Atiku Issa, who shared a Department of State Services cell with Nnamdi Kanu. Atiku Issa confessed openly that he originally believed Nnamdi Kanu was a violent extremist, only to discover that the man was one of the most peaceful detainees he had ever encountered. According to him, people from every region respected Nnamdi Kanu inside that small, suffocating cell. They saw him as courageous, thoughtful, and committed to justice. That testimony flew directly in the face of the narrative the Nigerian government has tried to sell to the world for years. When the United States Embassy asked for official documents rather than Nigerian media reports, Barrister Aloy Ejimakor sent them 3 powerful documents. The first was a 2022 ruling that declared Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and detention illegal. The second was an October 2023 High Court ruling stating that self-determination is not a crime in Nigeria. The third was a ruling ordering the federal government of Nigeria to compensate Nnamdi Kanu for the military attack on his family's home in 2017 and for the illegal extraordinary rendition of 2021. These rulings directly contradict the Nigerian government's public defense of its actions. But while these documents moved smoothly into the hands of the United States Embassy, something else began unfolding on the Nigerian media landscape. Suddenly, multiple news outlets published reports trying to counter what was happening. It was the typical behavior of a government that has always been allergic to truth. Instead of addressing the injustice done to Nnamdi Kanu, the Nigerian government seemed more concerned with controlling the narrative, manipulating headlines, and creating confusion among citizens. This is nothing new. From the days of the Biafran War, the treatment of Igbo Biafrans in Nigeria has followed the same pattern: suppression, brutality, and silence. Generations of Igbo people grew up listening to stories of relatives who were massacred between 1967 and 1970. Those who survived the war were later subjected to economic policies designed to cripple the region, not rebuild it. The Nigerian government has always found ways to punish the Igbo people for daring to demand justice, dignity, and equality. The atrocities committed by soldiers in the southeast, the targeted killings, the disappearances, and the constant military invasion of communities were never addressed. Instead, the voices of the victims were criminalized. Nnamdi Kanu became a symbol of that long, painful history. Instead of engaging in dialogue, the Nigerian government responded to his movement with force. The 2017 military invasion of his home, which left several people dead, showed how far the government was willing to go to silence him. The extraordinary rendition of 2021, a violation of international law, exposed the same pattern of disregard for human rights. Now, as the Court of Appeal considers his latest motion demanding that the trial be halted, the entire country watches. Nnamdi Kanu argues that the foundation of the charges against him is unconstitutional. And he is right. Every legal document submitted so far confirms that the government has no legitimate case. Yet the trial continues because the Nigerian government has never been comfortable with lawful processes when dealing with Igbo matters. Their response to justice has always been delay, denial, and intimidation. That is why the involvement of the United States matters. It has introduced a level of international scrutiny that the Nigerian government cannot easily manipulate. The indigenous people of Biafra, through petitions to the United States, the United Kingdom, the European Union, the United Nations, and 19 other foreign missions have helped place the spotlight where it belongs, on a government that has consistently violated its own laws in the name of preserving power. As November 20th approaches, the pressure continues to build. Supporters wait, hoping the Court of Appeal will finally acknowledge the truth that every legal ruling has already confirmed. But more importantly, many hope that the world will finally understand the long history of persecution the Igbo Biafran people have endured in Nigeria, and why the struggle for justice has never been about violence, but about survival. In the end, everything happening around Nnamdi Kanu's case exposes a deeper sickness in Nigeria's leadership, a sickness now sitting boldly under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Instead of upholding justice, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government has continued the same pattern of arrogance, manipulation, and brutality that earlier administrations used to suppress legitimate grievances from the Igbo Biafran people. The Nigerian judiciary, which should be the last hope of the common man, has repeatedly allowed politics to overshadow law. Judges drift in and out of constitutional duty depending on the desires of the executive, leaving ordinary citizens to wonder if justice even exists in Nigeria. The behavior of the Nigerian military and the Nigerian security forces is no different. In the southeast, military operations resemble punishment, not security. Raids, intimidation, indiscriminate shootings, and unchecked killings that go uninvestigated and unpunished. When it concerns the Igbo Biafran population, these forces act with a freedom and carelessness. This entire system, government, judiciary, military, and security agencies, has failed. And until accountability is demanded, Nigeria will continue repeating the same shameful cycle of injustice. My brother, please share more insight on this topic with the viewers.
Good day, everyone. Let me begin with a question that should trouble every Nigerian who believes in the rule of law. What does it say about our country when it takes the intervention of a foreign embassy to ensure that our own courts are watched, our own legal processes are scrutinized, and our own government is held accountable? This week, something extraordinary happened. The United States Embassy in Abuja officially assigned an American officer to monitor the case of Nnamdi Kanu. Think about that for a moment. A sovereign nation's judicial process now requires international supervision because its own citizens can no longer trust it to deliver justice. This is not a story about one man. This is a story about a system so deeply compromised, so thoroughly corrupted by political manipulation, that it has lost the confidence of the very people it was created to serve. Tonight, I want to take you through what is happening in the Nnamdi Kanu case, not because I am asking you to agree with everything he stands for, but because what is being done to him reveals something profoundly disturbing about how power operates in Nigeria, particularly when it comes to the Igbo Biafran people. And if we remain silent while injustice parades itself as law, then we become complicit in the destruction of whatever fragile democracy we claim to have. Let me tell you how we arrived at this moment. For years, the Nigerian government has presented Nnamdi Kanu as a dangerous terrorist, a violent agitator whose mere existence threatens the unity of the nation. They have repeated this narrative so often that many Nigerians simply accepted it as fact. But then something unexpected happened. A man named Atiku Issa, a former detainee of the Department of State Services, came forward with testimony that shattered that carefully constructed narrative. Atiku Issa is not some sympathizer or supporter of Kanu. He is a factional leader of the National Association of Nigerian Students who found himself detained by the DSS for 2 months, sharing a cell with the man the government had told him was a monster. What Atiku discovered in that cell contradicted everything he had been led to believe. He described Nnamdi Kanu as peaceful, thoughtful, and deeply concerned about Nigeria's progress. He said detainees from every region of the country respected Kanu, saw him as courageous, and recognized in him a genuine desire for justice. This was not the profile of a terrorist. This was the profile of a political prisoner whose real crime was speaking uncomfortable truths that the Nigerian government did not want to hear. When Barrister Aloy Ejimakor, Kanu's lawyer, forwarded his testimony to the United States Embassy, it triggered something the Nigerian government had not anticipated: serious international attention. But the United States Embassy did not simply take testimony at face value. They demanded documentation. They wanted official court rulings, stamped and verified, not newspaper articles or hearsay. So Barrister Ejimakor sent them 3 documents that should embarrass any government that claims to operate under the rule of law. The first was a court ruling from 2022 declaring that Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and detention were illegal. Let that sink in. A Nigerian court examined the circumstances of his detention and ruled it illegal. Yet he remains in detention. The second document was a High Court ruling from October 2023, stating clearly that self-determination is not a crime in Nigeria. The third was a ruling ordering the federal government to compensate Nnamdi Kanu for the military invasion of his family home in 2017, an attack that left people dead, and for the extraordinary rendition of 2021 when he was kidnapped from Kenya in violation of international law. These are not minor technicalities. These are fundamental rulings that expose the Nigerian government's actions as unlawful, unconstitutional, and in direct violation of the very legal system it claims to uphold. And yet, instead of complying with these court orders, instead of acknowledging that mistakes were made and justice must be served, the Nigerian government has simply ignored them. It has treated the judiciary as an inconvenience, something to be bypassed whenever its rulings do not align with political objectives. This is not governance. This is tyranny dressed in the robes of legality. Now let me ask you something. If these court rulings had favored the government, do you think they would have been ignored? Of course not. They would have been enforced immediately with the full weight of state power behind them. But because these rulings favor a man the government has decided to treat as an enemy, they are dismissed, overlooked, and rendered meaningless. This selective application of justice is precisely why the United States felt compelled to assign an officer to monitor this case. It is a damning indictment of our judicial system, and every Nigerian should feel the weight of that shame. The Nigerian government's response to this international scrutiny has been predictable. Within 19 hours of Barrister Ejimakor submitting those documents to the United States Embassy, multiple Nigerian media outlets began publishing articles designed to counter the narrative. One claimed the federal government was asking the Court of Appeal to halt a previous ruling. Another insisted Kanu still had a case to answer. This is the playbook of a government more concerned with controlling perception than delivering justice. Instead of addressing the substance of the legal rulings against them, they flood the media with confusion, distraction, and propaganda. They know that if they can muddy the waters enough, many Nigerians will simply throw up their hands and assume the truth is unknowable. But the truth is not unknowable. The truth is sitting in those court documents. The truth is in the testimony of a man who shared a cell with Nnamdi Kanu and discovered that the government's narrative was a lie. The truth is in the pattern of behavior we have seen from successive Nigerian governments whenever they are confronted with demands for justice from the Igbo Biafran people. And that pattern is one of suppression, brutality, and silence. Let us not pretend this story began with Nnamdi Kanu. The treatment of Igbo Biafrans in Nigeria has a long and bloody history that too many of us would prefer to forget. Between 1967 and 1970, during the Biafran War, millions of Igbo people were killed. Entire families were wiped out. Communities were destroyed. Starvation was used as a weapon of war. Children died in the mother's arms while the world watched and did nothing. When the war ended, there was no reconciliation, no acknowledgement of the atrocities committed, no effort to heal the wounds that had been inflicted. Instead, the Nigerian government implemented policies designed to cripple the Igbo region economically. The Abandoned Property Act seized homes and businesses from returning Igbo families. The 20 pounds policy wiped out their savings overnight. And when they rebuilt, when they rose from the ashes through sheer determination and hard work, they were resented for it. This is the context in which Nnamdi Kanu's movement emerged. It did not come from nowhere. It came from generations of people who had been told to forget, to move on, to accept second-class citizenship in a country that should be theirs as much as anyone else's. When Kanu began speaking about self-determination, about the right of Igbo people to control their own destiny, he was not inventing grievances. He was giving voice to frustrations that had been simmering for decades. And the Nigerian government's response was not dialogue. It was not an attempt to address legitimate concerns. It was violence. In September 2017, the Nigerian military invaded Nnamdi Kanu's home in Abia State. They called it Operation Python Dance. Think about that name for a moment. A python does not strike quickly. It coils around its prey, slowly squeezing the life out of it. That is what the Nigerian government wanted to do to the Igbo people. During that invasion, unarmed civilians were killed. Nnamdi Kanu's home was destroyed, and when he fled for his life, the government claimed he was a coward running from justice. But what justice was there to run to? What court could he trust when the executive branch had already decided his fate? For 4 years, Kanu lived in exile. Then in June 2021, he was kidnapped from Kenya and brought back to Nigeria in what is known as extraordinary rendition. This was not an arrest. This was a kidnapping. It violated Kenyan sovereignty. It violated international law.
And according to Nigerian courts, it violated Nigerian law as well. Yet, the government has never been held accountable for this action. Instead, they celebrated it as a victory, as if breaking the law is something to be proud of when it serves your political interests. Since his return, Nnamdi Kanu has been held in detention by the Department of State Services. He has faced trial after trial, adjournment after adjournment, while the government tries desperately to construct a legal case that will stick. But here is what the government cannot escape. Multiple courts have already ruled in Kanu's favor. They have ruled that his detention is illegal. They have ruled that self-determination is not a crime. They have ruled that the government must compensate him for past abuses. These are facts. They are not opinions. They are not political positions. They are legal findings from courts that the Nigerian government claims to respect. So why is he still in detention? Why is there still a trial? Why is the government preparing for a judgment on November 20th when the legal foundation for that judgment has already been declared unconstitutional? The answer is simple and deeply troubling. Because the Nigerian government does not believe it is bound by the rule of law when dealing with Biafrans. It believes it can do whatever it wants, ignore whatever rulings it finds inconvenient, and face no consequences because historically it has been right. No one has held them accountable. No Nigerian institution has had the courage or the independence to stand up and say enough. That is why the involvement of the United States matters. That is why the indigenous people of Biafra have sent petitions to the United States, the United Kingdom, the European Union, the United Nations, and 19 other foreign nations demanding intervention. They understand that justice will not come from within Nigeria. They understand that the Nigerian judiciary has been compromised, that Nigerian security forces operate with impunity, and that the Nigerian government will continue this pattern of abuse unless international pressure forces them to stop. Now, I know some of you are thinking, why should we care what foreign governments think? Why should we allow outsiders to interfere in our internal affairs? These are fair questions, and they deserve honest answers. We should care because our own institutions have failed us. We should care because the rule of law means nothing if it is not applied equally to all citizens. We should care because when a government can arrest someone illegally, detain them indefinitely despite court orders, and face no consequences, then none of us are safe. If they can do it to Nnamdi Kanu, they can do it to anyone who dares to speak truth to power. And let us be clear about what is at stake here. This is not just about one man's freedom. This is about whether Nigeria will continue to be a country where justice is determined by ethnicity, where your rights depend on which region you come from, where the government can ignore its own courts whenever politically convenient. If we allow this to continue, we are not building a nation. We are building a cage where some citizens are more equal than others, and the bars of that cage are maintained by violence, intimidation, and impunity. Look at what is happening right now. As we approach November 20th, Nnamdi Kanu has filed a motion from detention asking the Court of Appeal to halt the trial. He is arguing that the charges against him are unconstitutional, that the trial itself is a violation of his rights, and that proceeding to judgment under these circumstances would be fundamentally unjust. This is a legal argument supported by previous court rulings. It is not a frivolous request. It is a plea for the judicial system to actually function as it is supposed to function. But here is what we have learned about the Nigerian judicial system. It responds not to legal merit, but to political pressure. Judges are appointed by politicians. They are promoted by politicians. Their careers depend on staying in the good graces of the executive branch. So when a case like this comes before them, a case where doing the right thing means defying the government, many judges choose self-preservation over justice. They adjourn. They delay. They find procedural reasons to avoid making difficult decisions. And while they delay, a man who should be free according to their own colleagues' rulings remains in detention. This is why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government bears particular responsibility for what is happening now. President Tinubu came into office with promises of renewed hope, of a better Nigeria where institutions will be strengthened and the rule of law will prevail. But in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, his administration has done nothing to distinguish itself from previous governments. The pattern of abuse continues. The disregard for court rulings continues. The militarization of the Southeast continues. And the message to Igbo Biafrans is the same message they have received for decades. Your rights do not matter. Your grievances will not be addressed, and resistance will be met with force. The Nigerian military's conduct in the Southeast is particularly shameful. Military operations in that region do not look like security operations. They look like punishment. They look like collective retaliation against an entire population for the actions of a few. Homes are raided without warrants. Young men are arrested without charges. People are killed without investigations. And when families cry out for justice, they are told to be grateful that the military is keeping them safe. Safe from what? From their own government? This is not how a democratic nation treats its citizens. This is how an occupying force treats a conquered people. And until we acknowledge that reality, until we admit that there is a fundamental problem with how power is exercised in Nigeria, we will continue to repeat these cycles of violence and injustice. We will continue to produce more Nnamdi Kanus, more movements demanding self-determination, more young people who look at Nigeria and see not a country that values them, but a system designed to keep them in their place. Now, let me address those who will say that Nnamdi Kanu brought this on himself, that he should have known better than to challenge the government, that his rhetoric was too inflammatory, that he crossed lines that should not be crossed. I understand these concerns. I do not agree with everything Nnamdi Kanu has said. I do not endorse every position he has taken. But here is what I know. In a functioning democracy, you don't get arrested and detained indefinitely for speech, no matter how inflammatory. In a functioning democracy, you are charged with specific crimes, given a fair trial, and judged according to law, not political convenience. In a functioning democracy, when courts rule in your favor, those rulings are respected. None of that has happened in Nnamdi Kanu's case. Instead, we have seen a government that treats legal processes as obstacles to be overcome rather than frameworks to be followed. We have seen a judiciary that is more concerned with pleasing politicians than protecting rights. We have seen security forces that operate as if they are above the law. And we have seen a Nigerian media landscape that is too often willing to amplify government propaganda rather than ask difficult questions. The fact that it took international intervention to bring any semblance of accountability to this process should horrify every Nigerian. The fact that an American officer now has to monitor our courts because we cannot be trusted to police ourselves is a national embarrassment. And the fact that we are still having this conversation in 2024, decades after the Biafran War supposedly ended, tells you everything you need to know about how little has changed. So what happens now? If the Court of Appeal grants Nnamdi Kanu's motion and halts the trial, it will be a rare victory for the rule of law in Nigeria. It will show that our judicial system still has some independence, that they can still resist political pressure when the eyes of the world are watching. But if the court ignores the motion, if it proceeds to judgment, despite all the constitutional violations that have been documented, then we will have confirmation of what many already suspect, that justice in Nigeria is a performance, a carefully staged show designed to give the appearance of legitimacy to outcomes that were decided long before any trial began. And if that happens, the consequences will extend far beyond Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes.
It will send a message to every Nigerian who has ever been wronged by the government, to every community that has suffered at the hands of security forces, to every person who has watched their rights being trampled and wondered if anyone in power cared. The message will be clear. There is no justice for you here. There is no court you can turn to. There is no legal system that will protect you. Your only hope is to accept your fate or to fight back in ways that make the government even more repressive. This is how nations fall apart. Not suddenly, not in one dramatic collapse, but gradually, through the slow erosion of trust in institutions, through the steady accumulation of injustices that never get addressed, through the normalization of behavior that should be intolerable. We are watching that process unfold in real time with the Nnamdi Kanu case, and the tragedy is that so many of us have become numb to it. We shrug our shoulders. We say, this is just how Nigeria works. We convince ourselves that nothing will ever change, so why bother getting upset? But things can change. They must change. Because the alternative is a Nigeria where might makes right, where the government can do whatever it wants to whomever it wants.
where ethnicity determines your access to justice, and where speaking truth to power is a crime punishable by indefinite detention. That is not a country I want to live in. That is not a country I want to leave to the next generation. And it should not be a country any of us are willing to accept. The Igbo Biafran people have suffered enough. They suffered through a war that killed millions. They suffered through economic policies designed to impoverish them. They suffered through decades of marginalization and exclusion from political power. They have suffered through military invasions of their communities, through the killing of their children, through the destruction of their property, through the silencing of their voices. At every turn, they have been told to forgive, to move on, to be patriotic Nigerians, even as Nigeria refuses to be patriotic to them. How much suffering is enough? How many court rulings can be ignored? How many people must die before we admit that the problem is not the victims demanding justice, but the system refusing to provide it? These are not rhetorical questions. They require answers. And those answers must come from all of us, not just from Igbo people, not just from those directly affected by this injustice, but from every Nigerian who claims to believe in the rule of law. Because here is the truth that makes this case so important. If we can ignore court rulings when it comes to Nnamdi Kanu, we can ignore them for anyone. If we can detain someone indefinitely despite judicial orders for their release, then detention is no longer a legal consequence, it is a political weapon. If we can militarize entire regions based on ethnicity, then we are not a nation of equal citizens. We are a collection of favored groups and targeted populations. And if we can do all this while calling ourselves a democracy, then words have lost all meaning. The United States Embassy's decision to monitor this case is not an insult to Nigeria. It is a wake-up call. It is international recognition of what many Nigerians already know but are afraid to say out loud. Our system is broken. Our institutions are compromised. Our government operates with impunity. And without external pressure, nothing will change. That should not make us angry at the United States. It should make us angry at ourselves for allowing things to deteriorate to this point. As November 20th approaches, all eyes are on the Court of Appeal. Will it uphold the rule of law? Will it acknowledge the constitutional violations that have plagued this case from the beginning? Will it have the courage to stand against political pressure and do what the law requires? Or will it join the long list of Nigerian institutions that have chosen expedience over principle, that have chosen to preserve their own positions rather than protect the rights of citizens? I hope for the former, but I fear the latter, because courage is rare in Nigerian institutions. Independence is even rarer, and the pattern of behavior I've seen from successive governments suggests that those in power have no intention of allowing justice to prevail if it conflicts with their political objectives. They will delay, they will appeal, they will find new charges, they will do whatever it takes to avoid admitting that they were wrong, that they violated the law, and that Nnamdi Kanu should never have been detained in the first place. But whether the court rules in Kanu's favor or not, one thing is certain. This case has exposed the deep sickness at the heart of Nigerian governance. It has shown us that our democracy is fragile, that our institutions can be bent to political will, and that the rights we claim to cherish are only as strong as the government's willingness to respect them. That is a terrifying realization, but it is also a necessary one, because only by confronting how broken our system is can we begin the difficult work of fixing it. Tonight I am asking you to pay attention. I am asking you not to look away, not to accept the narrative that this is just politics as usual, not to convince yourself that the outcome does not matter because it does not directly affect you. It matters because every injustice tolerated makes the next one easier. Every right violated without consequence weakens the protections we all depend on. Every court ruling ignored diminishes the authority of law itself. Nnamdi Kanu's fate is not just about him. It is about what kind of country we want Nigeria to be. It is about whether we believe in equal justice under law or in power exercised without accountability. It is about whether we will continue to let ethnicity determine who gets protection and who gets persecution. These are the questions his case forces us to confront, and we can't keep avoiding them. The weight of justice is heavy, but it must be carried. It must be carried by judges who refuse to bow to political pressure. It must be carried by journalists who report truth rather than propaganda.
It must be carried by citizens who demand better from their government, and it must be carried by all of us who claim to want a Nigeria that works for everyone, not just for those in power. So as we wait for the Court of Appeal to make its decision, as we watch international pressure build, as we observe the Nigerian government scrambling to control a narrative that is slipping away from them, let us remember what is really at stake. This is not about whether you support Biafra or not. This is not about whether you like Nnamdi Kanu or agree with his methods. This is about whether Nigeria is a country where the law matters, where courts can be trusted, where rights are protected, and where justice is not just a word we invoke, but a standard we uphold. Right now, the answer to that question is unclear, but it does not have to stay that way. Change is possible if we demand it, if we refuse to accept injustice as normal, if we hold our institutions accountable, and if we remember that democracy dies not in dramatic coups, but in the quiet moment when good people choose to look away from evil being done in their name. Do not look away. Not now, not when it matters most.
Chai, believe me, we are going home. Believe me, we are going home. Biko kinike the live button. Onye na kinike the live button. Kinike the live button. Very important. Very important. Kinike the live button. Believe me, we are going home. We are going home. Believe me, we are going home. Chukwu Okike Abiama sign here. Believe me, we are going home. Believe me, this evil country, abro Nigeria, amaghị ihe ha etipiala ha. Amaghị ihe ha etiele ha godo. Ha just know ha feel na ima idibiri be ha trawo ha ga-aga na-egege ndị governors ntị. Ha ga-aga na-egege South-East governors ntị because of their own selfish interests. The nota ha na-ege imam nota Tinubu shi na-egege Soludo ntị. Soludo nwere ego na return no ya. That is every month you na-enye ego. But na destroy ga government. Also na owo ya nwa na-achị. Akifuru law, all law wo ya nwa wu government. Ma government ga-enweghị law. One day forget the country. My country again will give good law. And where the country just eche. Oh ya can do Nigeria na magi. Dika ko bodam no na. Hey Chineke. Umunnem. Agoshiwara ga atikoka. The law did too much. Oka man need just no respect your onwe. Ị ga-afụ God forbid. Ihe gbasara Nigeria na-asọm oyi. Ihe gbasara Nigeria na-asọm oyi, believe me. Ihe gbasara obodo ụmụ anụmanụ, obodo ekwensu, ọ na-asọm oyi. Amaghị ihe ha etipiala ha. Amaghị ihe ha amaghị ihe. Okay, were go nwe ike now. Legodu ihe ahụ nwe ike mere. Masị that nga ha nwe ike bịara ibi irize ilego ụlọ mmadụ iskata. Afụfụ mmadụ taga. Jugodu onwe gị sị masị onye ha awụghị retired Navy officer. Ịmakwa ha gara ime ihe nwe ike gara ime daman a. Ọ gara ịnụ ụlọ daman aha rizesicha ya gwodo were kwe dị ala. But o ruru di ya, o bu ma ihe niile o buru. Ihe niile o bu. Ya no yo lawa with ifere. Yo lawa with ifere ka o ji lawa. Yo lawa with ezigbo ifere.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, this is FCT High Court, Abuja. So, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has filed a 550 million naira suit against the Nigerian Medical Council and the 10 medical doctors that conspired and issued a fake medical report against him. And the court ordered that they should examine Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. But that they never did. So they went to wrote what they call medical report. And it was that medical report that made the court to refuse Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's bail. So based on that, we have written to them and they did not show any remorse. So we have filed a suit against them. It's 550 million naira suit. Again.
Imagine how country is life. Imagine this kind of country. A G life and when life they don't value life. Okay, you can they will to they don't a country that don't value life. A question God forbid them not I reject it. In my person I'm shizu. God forbid. I can remember for Biafra one can one. Our new website is superb. I can remember for Biafra.
Nigerian Medical Council and other medical doctors. So that is the position. Thanks and God bless you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me in this video. Today is Friday, the 14th of November, 2025. Now, before we go into the details of what Marcel Okpara just said about Nnamdi Kanu filing suit against the Nigerian Medical Association and some medical practitioners, I want to remember, what a pastor told me, missionary. He is an American. He's always coming to Nigeria. He told me he will be coming to Nigeria again because he have taken so many people, especially in Plateau State, to be a family member. Now, this is the issue that got me worried in the course of our discussion. He said, in the whole world, there is no country you are going to get to. You will not see the bad people. You will not see the good people. You will see the corrupt people. You will see less corrupt people. You will see, different kind of people. He said it is common in every country in the world. So Nigeria is not exceptional. However, when you see institutions being complicit, being corrupt, being manipulative, he said you have to be afraid of the country. He said that is my own situation and problem with Nigeria. Not about her people, but about the institutions in the country. I got that 100% correct. The truth is this, according to him, there is no country you will get to in this world, you will not see good and bad people. But good and bad people in the country does not make international communities and the world look at the country as a bad country. No, not about the people, but about the institutions in the country. How about the judiciary? How about the police? How about the government? What are they doing? How do they handle things? That is the fear. So when institutions are corrupt, forget about that country. The country is doomed forever. Why am I saying this, or why did I go to this angle? I want you to understand that Nigerian Medical Association got an order from Federal High Court through Justice James Omotosho to go and try Nnamdi Kanu, test him about what they are saying about his sicknesses, or his sickness, or illness, what he's going through, the symptoms. Go and try him and bring the certificate. You know what these people did? They went and fabricated a certificate. And look at where they got the problem. They now backdated the report to be a report that was formed or was presented or was issued before the court order. In other words, they did not obey the court order, but they submitted a report regarding the court order. That is just the problem. You see, I was telling you people before that this Nnamdi Kanu detention is one of the most complicated things I have ever seen on earth. In the sense that even Nnamdi Kanu is released today, he can even spend 7 years suing people. Right from who got the plane that kidnapped him, people who kidnap him, people who send military to his house, and so on and so forth, both Brutai and all those people, they know that they are in trouble. You understand? So that is why the government, they are now so manipulative about Nnamdi Kanu's matter. Imagine medical doctors, Nigerian Medical Associations. Imagine Nigerian Medical Associations fabricating a false report just because they were pressured by the government. They were pressured by people in government. You see, you must make sure the guy did not go to hospital. The guy must remain in DSS detention. Of which gain? What are you going to get from this? No, what are you going to get from now? For people who do not understand this, let me repeat again. This is not all about that they presented a report of the test they did. I am talking about these people presented a report of a test they did not run. Now, let me go to this Sarah Reporter's article for you to understand it very well. It reads that breaking Nnamdi Kanu files 550 million suit against Nigeria Medical Association over alleged forged reports. Okay, now since the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has instituted a 550 million lawsuit against the Nigeria Medical Association and 10 medical practitioners over an alleged falsified medical report issued against him. Why? The development was disclosed by one of Kanu's lawyer, Barrister Maxwell Opara. That's the video we're watching, a video posted on his Facebook page on Friday. This is FCD High Court, Abuja, he said. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has filed a 550 million suit against the Nigerian Medical Association and the 10 medical doctors that conspired and issued a fake medical report against him. Do you understand? Now, in October 2025, Sarah Reporters reported that lawyers representing Kanu accused the Nigerian Medical Association of fabricating a medical report on Kanu's health without conducting any examination as ordered by the court. You understand my previous explanation? Yes. During those proceedings, you could hear Aloy Ejimako and the rest of them, even this House of Rep member, saying that, listen, Nnamdi Kanu has not been tested, but there is a medical report that the Nigerian Medical Association used to ambush them in the court. They came to court, you just served them the paper. So they did not even, study the document very well to understand that you backdated the report. You did. So when you look at all these things, you see that this is a conspiracy. One of the greatest conspiracy against Nnamdi Kanu is what is going on. For all angle judiciary, the government, the executive, the armed forces, now the medical doctors. Anyway, Kanu's special counsel, Barrister Aloy Ejimako, noted that the report presented in court was dated October 13, long after the court's directive, leaving the defense no time to study or respond to it. Now, the medical report we will serve in open court today was dated October 13. This is what Aloy Ejimako said as a deno. So this obviously means that the defense has no ample opportunity to react to it. It was more of an ambush, he said. Moreover, the court had ordered that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu be examined by the Nigerian Medical Association, but the examination was never carried out. Do you understand? The examination was never carried out, and the order was entered on September 26 and registered on October 8. According to Ejimako, the Nigerian Medical Association never examined Kanu. That is the bone of the contention here. According to Ejimako, the Nigerian Medical Association never examined Nnamdi Kanu as required, but rather based its report on informal meetings held with him at the Department of State Services headquarters in Abuja on September 18. Do you understand? So, the article continues. Let me stop it here. The issue here is this. All these things is not going to help the country. It makes people to be afraid of the country more and more. It makes people to look at this nation and feel that there is no hope anymore. Every day, everything we are saying about this country, we continue to have the justification. Yeah. Our stance that this country is not sustainable, every now and then we continue to have the justification to declare. No, how could this happen? How can it be? Now, the question now goes to who is responsible for the influence against the Nigerian Medical Association. Remember that there was a lawyer that came to test Nnamdi Kanu and issued a report that Nnamdi Kanu is not fit, that something he need to go to hospital. And one DSS doctor said, no, Nnamdi Kanu is not ill. So because of that, the lawyer now asked the Nigerian Medical Association to go and test him. However, they did not. But they issued a report that they did. So this is the situation we are facing in this country. It's very unfortunate. Let me know what you think about this.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, this is the FCT High Court, Abuja. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has filed a 550 million naira suit against the Nigerian Medical Council and the 10 medical doctors that conspired and issued a fake medical report against him. And the court ordered that they should examine Nnamdi Kanu, but that they never did. So they went to wrote what they call medical report, and it was that medical report that made the court to refuse Nnamdi Kanu's bail. So based on that, we have written to them, and they did not show any remorse. So we have filed a suit against them. It's 550 million naira suit against Nigerian Medical Council and other medical doctors. So that is the position. Thanks and God bless you.
Triple M ndewo Triple M bata n'ụlọ enye anyị odu bata bụ enye anyị odu dekwe nne nke bata bụ enye anyị odu alaikere m voice gị bata bụ enye anyị odu Triple M bata bụ enye anyị odu Triple M birikwo ụtụtụ ọma bata bụ enye anyị odu bata bụ enye anyị odu Triple M onye eziokwu Evil country zoo evil country ọ bịala ụtụtụ ọma onye nke m ụtụtụ ọma Big M ụtụtụ ọma go ahead Biafrans and listening go ahead onye eziokwu ọnọdụ a Big M.
Yes, one name, madam. Oh, I'm not mute. If I was speaking since, sorry, my brother. Don't one name, mother.
They will Big M.
Yesterday, my brother. Yeah. When I gonna try to make no name. I see make a lady resemo. Onye name ma. Ekele dịrị gị onye nwụrụ ọnwụ n'elobe ekele dịrị gị ngoja sorry my brother yeah oh sorry ekwe
oh ndị na-abata tata abaka mgbe m na-abaka but this morning I saw them when ịma na that story dị ebe socket
yeah
ana pass emepere ebe maka biko gas stress mechere m
oh come get us first
mechie that thing
okay okay I'm gaba okay ngwa na nnapụta egotasikwara m that Cherokee ahụ Cherokee that na anyị na-eji emegharị ọnụ yeah eji m card hey my brother na-ewe n'iwe I'm speaking with my boss ekele dịrị gị ọhịa my brother with all my brother nwe ha obere ihe onye na-eme ma ebe hụrụ anyị n'anya wenye ndụ gị n'obechimo ekele dịrị gị eze ndị eze ebe hụrụ anyị nwanne mmadụ wenye ndụ gị n'obe my brother ekene m gị n'ụtụtụ ọma ya gaziere gị ụkwa anyị na-apị nwanne mkpụrụ ụnụ ya ifuru ụkwa anyị na-apị mkpụrụ ụnụ ya my good people ndị ọma ekele na m ụnụ my genuine fellow Biafrans ndị nọ na comment section adị m sure na nwebe ndị batara room ọmụnwa agbara first anụ mbụ ụzọ na-aṅụ mmiri ọma udo dịrị ụnụ my people in comment section ya gaziere ụnụ ụtụtụ n'ehihie na abalị mbọsị eke mbọsị orie mbọsị afọ mbọsị ihe ọjọọ agaghị akpọ unu ihu ka onye chiri dị mma ya zere ihe anyị ga-eri agaghị akọ anyị ihe karịkwa na ya agaghị abịakwute anyị mana nke anyị ga-akarị nke anyị ga-afụ udo dịrị mmadụ niile. We must continue to push. Efugonu when it is your time, nwanne, even osisi ma mgbaja n'ọnụ ụzọ ga-agbara gị aka ebe. Long John jere zọọ igwe. Onye o jere n'aka ya jee zọọ igwe, as Long John gbagize mba nweta ego ji azụ igwe ya, onye o jere zọọ n'aka kwụcha ụgwọ igwe, onye ahụ onyeghị ya receipt. So ya na-echekwere ka Long John ọ mara ma Long John ekwu receipt. Long John ekwu receipt, ọ maghị anya ya. So the man ewureze ya as opportunity. So okay, na ọhụ na mugu na ọ ga-eri ya mugu now. Ya enye Long John igwe. Long John eburu igwe ya na-agba. The man ndị uwe ojii ablọkụ Long John n'ụzọ. Military ablọkụ Long John n'ụzọ pịa sị ya ka ebe o si nweta igwe a. Ya sị mba na ya zụrụ ya now, asị ya ka receipt ya. Long John achakara akwụkwọ amagharị n'igwe, akwụkwọ a na-eji esili igwe ji ha saw paper because ha sị ya where the paper of the bicycle. Ya achakara akwụkwọ nga ha nye ha saw paper. Ha sị ya Usman, you must be joking, you're under arrest. Where do you buy the bicycle? Ya sị ngwada ka nga ji n'ebe ngwuru igwe. Long John akpọrọ ha before okay, so the man Long John zuru igwe n'aka ya abịa na police si na Long John bịara zụ igwe ya. So Long John bịara zụ igwe ya. Long John na-asị ya igwe akwanyere gị ọkụ ụgwọ. Nwoke si ya ka ekwanye receipt m nyere gị maka na onye gị igwe a ga-enye receipt. Long John na-agwa na onwekwa receipt o nyere, onweghị ihe nitin o nyere ya. A na-ekwu akwụkwọ igwe na-arụ ya. So polisi ewere Long John tukpuo na nga were igwe. Before a na-emeritin, nwoke si ebe ọ bịara zụ igwe n'aka gị ga-eji polisi mee arrest na o zuru igwe ezu na okporo ụzọ anyị na-agbara ya aka ebe. Poolu eletrik ga-agbara ya aka ebe maka ihe ndị achọ ihe nọcha ebe shop ya ebe ahụ. So no problem. Ewere Long John kpakpuo na nga. Nwoke eburu igwe magoro igwe ya na-achị. O riele Long John mugu zọrọ igwe na-aga n'ụzọ ka ọ nọ na-aga. Ihe ọhụrụ bụrụrụ moto si egbochi bizekile pịa gbe nwoke atọgbọ na road. Igwe agbụrụ ọsọ pụrụrụ ngaga gbakwuru poolu daga na poolu ebe ahụ. Polisi abịa ihe ahụ nwoke ma bụrụla igwe su ewo ya kwara na ihe ahụ nwoke ma kwuru agbarala aka ebe o lekwa igwe gara agbakwuru poolu. Nwoke kwa na moto akụgbuola ya na road. Ha sị mba n'aka Long John dị ụcha aga na nga kpọpụta Long John si ya bụrụ igwe gị lawa n'ikpe ama gị. Mgbe ọbụla ihe ruru n'oge gị nwanne, ihe niile ga na-eme n'anya ya. Even that your worst enemy ga-abịa gba aka ebe maka banyere gị. Who would have believed today that this Fulani man si na nga pụta? Ọwụ mmadụ na ga-ekwu okwu a, ọwụ mmadụ na ga-apụta open up kọwaa ya, mana ọ pụtala. Ama m na okwu ahụ o kwuru even today stand na his own people see ya. Are you sure that na omitri Maazị Nnamdi Kanu to tell you how important Maazị Nnamdi Kanu dị to other tribes? Mana ndị nwe ya nkwe ndị nwe ya few majority because few are criminals that doesn't want good thing in their life. Ahụ ya n'anya ha na ụmụnne dị mana si ya you are very lucky to meet Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. Dịkwa sure ya si ya hụrụ ya na si you are very lucky. If Mazin Nandekano happens to be a Fulani man or a Yoruba man, one even Aganefe Fekachi Oboda, Aganefe Fekachi. Mana, they will always use our people.
Triple M, okay,
Left. Okay, on network. No, a room na one of our sites. My phone up on my phone up on my network. By then, Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So, my brother. So these people mara ihe for Nigeria. How mara ihe, they have to, release the Mazin Kano, and they had to Yanga. They can never jail him.
Never.
You know, when people shout, hey, Mazin Kano, why coming out now to release? You see, nigga jakagi. Nige jakagi defend ogi nka asokwa na nka asị na why na ikwesịghị jakagi na you are trying to spoil everything. These are enemies of him. Now, I want them as Nnamdi Kanu bịaziri ka oji aka ya defend onwe ya. Nwanne ịhụrụ okwu ndị okwuge. The way you bring this matter, it's already that those lawyers are my hinda. Imagine the people they represent here, they are afraid to talk. Which is true. And even Oga got that first court to Bata. Oga got that first court to Bata. Asana, no court in Nigeria would have the temerity to try him.
Yes.
Oh, even and they got stand there. But what do they have? Akpahebe haga. They are all in bondage. But today, Mazin Kano took over. Even was it Akweri? When Mazin Kano decided to, defend himself, was he can speak against it? Sorry, he spoke against it. When, even Mandate US spoke against it.
Oh, Mumugu na they don't know anything.
The reason is simple. Mazin Nnamdi Kanu gana ekwu onye nwa onye ma ebe ọ right ya. So he has nothing to lose. He has nothing to fear. Ọ ga-agba gị ya otu o si wetere ya. But the second, ihe na-atụ ụjọ. How many of his lawyers nọ na Zoo court na-agba ha n'ihu ha that ihe ha na-eme injustice? How many of them?
No one.
They can't do it. They will always bet.
Yeah.
In this world, you are coming to be a witness against somebody. You cover your face. Always a witness.
Hey.
They accepted. Hey, how mama know they against the law? Are you aware that now? Oh, that same idea can have in Finland. Finland is not called ha bụ le ka abịa na Finland ndị dị US ha agazi mgbe ha bịazi hụze na ọ ga-awa ọkụ eweta kamera ha weji ihe ude n'ala ihe na-eme dị mma. Why hiding your face? Ihe na-eme dị mma. You are right. Yes, you are doing the right thing. Ekezi ihe ji kamera ji bịa iji just wuri ude n'ala. These are fools. I'd be happy to do.
A witness. He want to come. He want to all the form of one. You saw just na upper way na witness in me Dr. Ngozi arrest. Now you appear as a witness.
Ya bezinga ya say here.
Imagine.
So my brother, whatever thing I na hota. O nwe ihe na-ekwu ya sị na Biafra anyị ga-enwere do nwa na anyị enwere nwa nwanne anyị alala.
Believe me. Network agbapụ na ya gịnị na-eme oke ọ bịaghachikwana.
Anọ m echi m na site pụọ na network ka hapụkwa akwa nke phone m ka m na-use. So my brother, ihe nọ n'ime ya bụ our people They don't know. They still think that na ebe anyị nọ mgbe anyị na-eme ọ ga-eme ha aba m n'anya, ọ ga-eme ha aba m n'anya mgbe Biafra ga-abịa agitation. Ha chekwa na ịka na agitation. Amaghị na ya efere that level.
Amaghị.
Amaghị na ya efere. I won't blame anybody because this is the risk of long agitation.
Yes.
Because I was speaking with somebody. Ya na Nigeria, ya sị na ọbahụrụ na ihe ndị ọkwụnye Igbo anyị na ihe ndị anyị na-eme ọ gaghị enwe isi na ọ ga-awụ ọkụ na ọ gaghị adị izi. No, in fact na Biafra agaghị adị enweghị ka Biafra. Because hey, atụla ha anya arị nne. Ebe m mụga bụ bifo onwe ebe m mụga onwe one guy mere na-ekwu onye Ethiopia. So ya na-ajụ m ebe m si masị na mgbe na amụ awe Biafra. That's a ebe Biafra. Masị ya we seceded from Nigeria. That's okay. Biafra. For Nigeria, the part that have oil. Masị ya yes. That's no. It's not gonna be possible. It's not gonna be possible. They will not allow us to go. Man said, don't worry. This is what people usually say. When you get it right, one again will not be easy.
Yes.
Most of our people, wrong people the good people.
Yes.
When the wrong people is higher than the good people, the good people with idea. How about ya? Oh, during the time of the Mazin Nandekano, are you aware that good people take issue in the US
I swear.
Good person, there is Diego Gugini, the way I get you, even I got the expected to use the Mazin Nandekano, so they would allow you. Mazin Nandekano noticed it. Says Sawyer, Oji hide that Simon or hide the tire in toto. O make a hamataya, or hide the Simon, or hide the day. That's not an oath member. One waiting oath, but honey never oath member now. One lay away cage. Oath member cage. We really don't know.
How do you Hannah destroy? You got many things.
Then Abba Hangocha di ha na-emesi ihe na-adịghị mma ha sị gị cherekwa na enwere iyi ebe anyị nọ ka ị ga-anọ ọwụ iyi ahụ sa ha mebe ihe ọjọọ. My brother, ihe nọ n'ime ya bụ anyị alabago ọ na-emekwa ekwusi ike Disemba anyị ga-eji ọṅụ ga-agba Disemba ka afọ a anyị ga-eji ọṅụ gbanụ Christmas ke 2025. Thank you, my brother. At this point, I yield.
Dewo. Thank you so much. We are going. Ya me foga here. Ka ha gbasara ga wuru mu I dey see am say we are going. Afoga me ya na anya alawala. Mu I dey see. I dey see am ọwụghị n'ọhịa. Mụọ na-afụ ya afụchi ike. Na anyị alawala. Obodo ọma. Anyị alawala. Anyị alawala. Otu m si eyuzu ihe a agbaga m aka ịkpa wee.
when the British came, they saw the light in Biafra. In Chineke, they saw it in Arochukwu. And they said that you have no history, as I told you before. And I want everybody to go to Google again, because we are lecturing today, and type in the word Sambation. I want to teach you something this very day that will shock even our enemies. Go to Google and you type in this word, please. Sambation. It's called Sambation. It's called the Sambation River. I give Elohim praise. Sambation River. Go, and as I'm reading it, I want you to be reading it, please. Sambation River. So you'll be shocked. I told you everything I tell you is gospel from heaven. I don't add anything of mine. As I'm giving the message from heaven, I give it to you. Let people make up the Biafran people. The whole of Biafra. Forget all these other names. The whole of Biafra. The Igbo people. And the house of God. And his nephews. Ephraim and Manasseh. Are you listening to me? There are the ancient Ndibo, the ancient people were there. The first wave of migrants came from Egypt. The second wave came from Samaria. 3 people. One came from Egypt, Sudan, Niger, Yoruba land into Igbo land. First wave, the house of God. The house of Ephraim and Manasseh came through Egypt, came through Djibouti, went through the upper lands of Ethiopia, came into the Afar region of Ethiopia, proceeded through the Central African Republic we know today, into Cameroons, and into Biafra land. The third and the final wave that came. 3 people make up the land of Biafra.
Mazi Nweke ndewo otela n'otu imere otela Mazi Nweke yusi otela long time n'otu imere
3. And when I say that Biafrans are Israelites or Hebrew, not all of it. I've told you this before, so there'll be no confusion. I want you to go and type in Sambation. Spell it S-A-M-B-A-T-I-O-N. S for sugar, A for apple, M for mother, B for bravo, A for apple, T for tango, I for India, O for Oscar, and N for November. You can find it, Sambation. I read it. Oh, dear me. In the earliest literature, where do I begin? What is Sambation? It is the mythical river. It is the mythical river. Oh God in heaven. A river of stone. A river of stone that took Jews to every part of the world. There was a man that wrote many centuries ago. Many centuries ago. Unbelievable. This is shocking. Shocking. I'm telling you. The river Sambation flowed beyond the rivers of Abyssinia. Remember when I told you about the Afar region and I told you about Biafra, yes, and Biafra. This man is saying that the exact place that we located on the map as to have Biafra in it during the migration was where this very river was located. And these are Jewish scholars of note. Josephus, Pliny the Elder. These people we are writing in the ancient days. In ancient days. Even an Arabian writer, his name is Abraham Abulafia. And this same river was mentioned in 2 Kings as well in the Bible. The river that flowed beyond the rivers of Abyssinia. And where is Abyssinia? Is Ethiopia. If you go beyond Ethiopia, it becomes the kingdom of Biafra. It's here. I didn't write it. Everything we tell you is gospel. Everything we tell you is gospel. Absolute gospel. Some people don't understand, they don't reason very well. But here we reason. Go and research it. Sambation is an assignment. Go and read it. Then you will understand the miracle that Elohim is doing in our lives. You must understand it. They say you have no history. I don't know that the British discovered something they never wanted anybody to see. They said, your name is now Nigeria. It means gloomy. It means dark. It means evil. Oh dear. They said that the most credible account is that given by a Jewish writer and traveler. The most credible. His name is Eldad the Danite, you know, the tribe of Dan. In his letter to the Jews in Spain in the year 883 AD, he said, who are we? And the children of light. The children of light. That's something I want to play for you. That is something that I wish to play for you, that the whole world may understand it. To know who we are. To know why we are agitating for Biafra. To tell the so-called misguided, foolish elders that cannot see, that are not learned, to let them understand why we do what we do. They know nothing. That is why we are the way we are. They know nothing. I want to show you something.
There's a possibility.
Listen.
The international community can be brought to bear. The UN.
Listen.
Declaration of Human Rights. All the way through. This is a very.
No. It has gone. It has. Oh my goodness. It has gone. I will try to play it from here. Try to.
Listen. That we believe that there's a possibility that the international community can be brought to bear. The UN.
Listen.
The Declaration of Human Rights, all the way through. This is a very, very serious matter. There's something that I didn't mention, and I hesitate.
A white man. A white man.
I'm not Nigerian, although I think Dr. Lloyd has bestowed upon me the honorary title of Nigeria man. And we had a conversation. It wasn't heated, but he acted like he was going to revoke my Nigeria man credentials.
Listen.
Causing my 13-year-old son, who was in the car with me, to be very distraught. He said, Dad, you have to stay a Nigeria man. But talking about children, when I was a little boy, when I was 7 years old, growing up in the middle of nowhere, Florida, in a swamp, closest town was 30 miles away. The first thing that happened in the world that brought to bear to me that maybe things weren't always right, maybe things weren't always good, wasn't the Vietnam War.
Vietnam War?
I was in the South. It was correct and just, and we were the warriors. It was the Biafra War.
Biafra. Listen.
I remember very distinctly thinking, this just isn't right. This isn't right.
The British.
This is
you hear it now.
It is a great nation.
It's a great nation. Biafra.
Country. And then later when I learned, something most people don't know, that there is a plausible argument that democracy began in Igbo land.
Igbo land, a white man. Democracy, the world knows today, started in Igbo land. The whole world over. A white man, an American doing his research. I don't know who has this clip, but I want to post it on my page. Democracy started where in Igbo land. Now, do you see the reason why I tell you that we are the oldest people on this earth? And if you don't have the grace of God, you cannot write. You cannot read and write. A white man doing research in America. This is why CNN will not carry our news. If you're wondering why BBC won't carry it, this is it. Because the white man understands what Biafra means. blacks in Africa don't know. They don't know the purpose of God in their lives. They have no idea. You see, the Yoruba see Biafra as something there to be fought. Let's fight it. They are fighting Biafra out of ignorance. This man did his research and said what our ancestors were able to do 5,000 years ago. Now, today, we cannot do it. The first written constitution in the whole world, Igbo land. The first organized government in the world, Igbo land. There are two people that God controlled from heaven. The Israelites and those that he sent to Biafra land. Only two. The Israelites revolted and said, give us a king so we can be like other nations. And Chukwu Okike Abiama gave them Saul. Do you know the funniest thing? The Igbo race never asked for a king. Instead, they named their children Chibueze, that God is king. That is why if you come out in Biafra land in those days, I say Igbo land as an example because they're the ones maintaining it. And you say to somebody you're a king, they'll tell you to go and be a king to your wife and your children. Igbo and I beg it. Now you understand how special we are. Now you understand why I fight for Biafra to be free. And I want my Yoruba brethren to understand, once Biafra is free, you're also very free. You'll be very rich, I assure you. Because it's a blessing from God in heaven, not man. And this is what the British never wanted you to know. They don't want you to know this, never. Because they want us to be saying it. And being a black man from Africa, if you're saying it, people won't believe you. The British saw this. That was why they said we must amalgamate them. They found Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Nnamdi Azikiwe was a willing tool of the devil. And he agreed. Mazen Bono Jike wanted him. He said no. I'll play it again so you hear how special you are. I want you to understand how special. Some of you don't know why we fight for Biafra. This is the reason why. We are the oldest of the oldest, the very ancient people. When I tell you that Igbo language is what they're speaking in heaven, you're doubting me. That is what they speak in heaven. The angels address God Almighty in Igbo language. This is the reason why the oldest civilization on this earth, Igbo land, the center of the whole world. Let's listen to this man once again. I'm excited about it.
Right.
Listen.
This is a great people. Great nation.
Great nation.
There was a country.
That was a country.
And then later when I learned something most people don't know.
Most people don't know this.
There is a plausible argument that democracy began in Igbo land.
Democracy.
The very first written constitution on this planet was written by the Igbo people.
The Igbo wrote the first constitution. But Europeans don't want the world to know. Because they are wondering, if that is the case, why did God put people in Africa? That's so backwards. And I'm saying to them, God sent us to Africa to bring light into Africa. That's our job. In here, Chineke, in our villages, in here, which means light, is in Anambra, it's everywhere you go to. Do you now see who we are? The first written constitution in CBD, the first. I want to listen to this man more, please. Let's listen to him.
The very first democracy that involves self-governance.
Self-governance.
For everybody.
Autonomous community.
Not just the Greek wealthy, but everybody was in Igbo land.
Igbo land.
And the very first democracy that permitted women leaders.
The first, anywhere, when America was saying give women the vote, this is our mothers, so we are rulers. They rule the families. When women are talking in our culture, men don't come out. You don't dare come out. Can you say it? Can you hear who we are? When I hear all these fools in Abuja and in Lagos, all these riffraffs talking rubbish, I feel sorry for them. That is why we are harsh with any idiot that calls himself an elder who doesn't know history. What we are fighting for is to protect something that anybody will be envious of. This is who we are. And we started worshiping idol. Somebody will go to the farm and cut a wood. Or Pierre will say, you got an idol, rubbish. You bow down before an idol. And God took away all the blessing he gave us. He said, go and worship idol, and that's what you want. That's why we're in a mess. God gave us 700 years to come out of it. We continued in idol worship. And he sent the British. The Arabs came, he said, no, I don't want you to do it. He sent the British instead. Go and conquer them. And as you're conquering them, you're going with the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. If they are smart, God said, if they are smart, they will go to Old Testament and see who they are. And that's what we did. Oh my goodness. Let's listen.
Was in Igbo land.
Igbo land.
The West, Europe, we were still in the Dark Ages.
Europe was nothing. You see all these white men building aeroplane and going to the moon, they were nothing. When Biafra land was bubbling, when the kingdom of Biafra was at its peak with God Almighty in heaven as the king, Europe was nowhere. They were in the Stone Ages. They were nothing. Oh dear me.
And yet the Igbo had figured out a way to have a just and meaningful government and a just and meaningful society and due process and fairness. And to this day, you see a great...
Listen, due process and fairness. These things are weaved into our idioms we have, our proverbs. This is a white man teaching you who you are. Fairness. Which is the foundation of our constitution. Fairness. I want the world to hear this. Biafra means fairness. You can never cheat anybody and get away with it. Never. In Biafra land. Oh God in heaven. Some idiots come up and they say they're elders. They know nothing. They are promoting one Nigeria, bringing the curse of God upon them and on their children. They know nothing. God said you cannot go into Nigeria, not a Nigerian. I asked the British to come to show you who you are, that you may return to me, that I may reestablish my kingdom. Before I researched and I found it, I used to tell you that Biafra is the kingdom of heaven on this earth. I told you that before. Before I did research and I discovered it. And I've shown it to you. Actually, it's on my page. Go to scroll down, you will see it. Kingdom of Biafra is there written, which means that the name would have come from anywhere else, apart from the people that they gave it to. A white man is not telling you who you are. The first organized system of government in the whole world. With fairness. Weaved into it. Fairness. Fairness.
The Federal Republic of Nigeria owes Mazi Nnamdi Kanu an unreserved apology with immediate release and compensation. I'm saying this because when he was talking about the Fulani trying to take over Nigeria, it was as if he was blabbing. People could literally say, this guy is a noisemaker, he's talking gibberish. Nobody took him serious then. What is happening today? Today, even the so-called northerners, that the houses now, who don't even get to hear their voice, Fulani already successfully took over the north. Fulani is in Middle Belt. Fulani is in southeastern part of Nigeria. So Fulani is in Ebonyi State. Fulani is in Enugu. Fulani is in Abia State, Imo State, some part of Anambra State. Fulani is in Delta. I learned that in Delta, they will buy your land by compulsion, build them, and forcefully become part of the community. And you don't dare do anything. That is in Delta. Fulani is in Edo State. Fulani is in all parts of the West, I think excluding Lagos State. Fulani is in Oyo State. Fulani is in Ondo State. Fulani is in Bayelsa State. Timaya tweeted about it the other day. And Fulani is invading Nigeria in each passing second. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a man of great insight. He was talking about it. When he said that Tinubu wants to become the president of Nigeria, I think Tinubu was still the governor of Lagos State then. We didn't see it coming. Today, what is happening? Tinubu is the president of Nigeria. This man has seen this thing, and when he was talking, nobody listened to him. This detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a gross infringement on his right as a human being, as a British citizen, a Nigerian citizen, or Biafra citizen. He should be released with immediate effect. He should be duly compensated, and he should be apologized to. Public apology that will go all around the globe. Because he was talking about it. I want you to listen, watch this video.
Anywhere you have Fulani headsmen, terrorists for that matter, they tell you, oh, they are pastoralists. They are allowed to do their businesses in the forest. All of you are aware of it. But you kept quiet, hoping that somehow Tinubu will emerge as the president, or an Igbo man will come as the president, and your family will start enjoying. But in the meantime, you have no more farmlands, you have no more forests, you have nowhere you can call your own home. This same stupidity exhibited by Hausa peasants that enabled Fulani to take Sokoto from them, that enabled Fulani to take Katsina from them, that enabled Fulani to take even Kanu from them. Every Hausa land is occupied either by a Fulani emir or a Fulani governor. Some of you don't want to reason, you don't ever learn that the main aim of Fulani is to conquer your land and enslave you. Look at Hausa people today. As I wrote yesterday, they are worse than a discarded tissue paper. They are worth nothing. Only their language is what is relevant in their lives. Everything else is lost. That is why they are in trouble. And that is why they can never ever come out of it. They are also suffering from what I would an advanced version of the Stockholm Syndrome. Can you imagine that these people came into their land and took it over and they cannot do anything about it? No. Hausa is gone. It took Fulani very many years before they came out of their shell to say we are Fulani. Remember before, many years ago, they said we are Hausa Fulani, we are House Fulani. Because that time, their subjugation of the Hausa race hasn't been completed. Now they have completed it.
When this man was talking, nobody listened to him. Nobody took him serious. Today, what is happening? You know, if not that he strategically inaugurated the ESM boys who were in the bush, I don't know whether they are still there now, I don't know. If not because of the ESM boys, the Fulani invading of the site would have been successfully, signed for long ago. By now, it will be past tense. But thank God for the little resisting force. And again, if you look at it strategically, it looks as if that the higher powers of Nigeria they are holding a stake in this insecurity. You understand? Because their body language says it all. You will call police that this is happening. You are not going to see them. You will report to government, oh, they are killing people in this community. Government is not going to respond. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to say anything. As if though what they are killing, they are animals. Even if they are animals, there's what we call animal rights. In the Western world, you don't kill if you kill a dog, you can be jailed. Yes. If you kill a cat, you can be jailed. So there's acting as animal rights. But we're talking about human beings right now. The Igbos will be.
Obodam no na. Enwoye no n'ime. Enwoye no n'ime. Enwoye no n'ime na because of okuru pussy cat ihe. Pussy nwere right n'obodo am no. Pussy nwere right even pussy nwere right karịa mmadụ. Karịa human being n'obodo am nọ. Enwe onye nọ na nga na because of ọkụrụ pusi ihe. Enwe onye nọ n'ime because of ọkụrụ pusi ihe. Because of ọkụrụ pusi ihe ọ nọ n'ime. But check it on n'obodo anyị siri bịa. Enweghị life mmadụ ụwụ. A na-egbu mmadụ ka nga na-egbu ọkụkọ. Hello Maazị, ụtụtụ ọma. Ọ dị mma. Ị chọrọ ka Biafra si n'olu gị ka ọ private call ka ị na-akpọ m? Ndewo. Ị chọrọ ka Biafra si n'olu gị ka ọ private call ka ị kpọga m? Hello Maazị. Hello. Ọ bụ naanị ihe m na-ekwu? Ị chọrọ ka Biafra si n'olu gị ka private call ka ị kpọga m? Okay, anọ m live mmecha ka m kpọọ gị nnọọ. Ndewo. Okay. Unu furu ya? Obodo ọjọọ, evil country kpọkọ zoo. Life human being doesn't matter.
Crying, shouting, insurgency, insecurity. Nobody said anything.
I swear.
Okay, now it's now touching outskirts of Igbo land somehow, you know? When they are killing people, maiming lives, raping women in the bush, report it to the government. You are not going to hear anything. Nothing is going to happen. But just hear that one cow. It's in Nigeria that a cow is priced higher above human.
Oh!
Just one cow. If you hear that one cow is down, then there's going to be a riot. Before I even talk about one Fulani is down. Federal government of Nigeria owes Mazi Nnamdi Kanu an unreserved apology.
Sorry.
That is what I know. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a hero. His face to appear on one of the currencies.
Yes,
maybe today or tomorrow or later. But his face to show is a true hero. Thank you for engaging with my videos.
Thank you. Thank you. Umunnem, chai. Una honia. Onye ọbụla afụrụ Maazị Nnamdi Kanu biko kpụpụrụ n'okpu. Kpụpụrụ n'okpu. Kpụpụrụ n'okpu. Have it in mind, we are going home soon. We are going home. Afụna m ya. Anyị na-ala anyị nwe mmeri. Anyị nwe mmeri. Ekele m ụmụ Chineke na asị m ụbọchị taa mara unu mma. Chukwu Okike Abiama gozie unu gba unu mee ka emesịa unu. Ka anyị gaa prepare ya for fundraising today.